Welcome to another episode of Tank Talks, your personal think tank for all things startups and venture capital. I'm your host, Matt Cohen, founder and managing partner at Ripple Ventures. On today's show, we are talking about building the Twitch for day traders with founder and CEO of trading.tv, Tobias Heaslip. Since the onset of the pandemic, everyone became a day trader overnight, whether it was Robinhood day traders trading options in Tesla to Wall Street bet meme stocks like Gamestop and AMC. Given the rise of live streaming and now day trading, it makes total sense to see companies like trading.tv emerge with strong support from the investor community. On today's show, we asked Tobias why he thinks building another content creation platform for day traders and pump and dump schemes is what people really want. We dig into how trading.tv plans to help attract content creators while maintaining a level of authenticity and quality that makes people really want to tune in regularly. We also discuss his plans to integrate with other platforms for trading stocks, crypto, and other alternative assets like NFTs, and how he plans to make his platform free from hate speech and bullying like some other platforms have unfortunately allowed to happen. Now let's get into this week's episode with Tobias Heaslip, founder and CEO of trading.tv. Thanks for joining us in the tank today, Tobias.
Thank you very much for having me.
So this is going to be a really fun chat today. As in my previous life, I was a trader myself working on Wall Street for RBC for almost a decade. I spent many hours living and breathing the day trading life and covering global hedge funds whose job it was to predict markets and capture alpha. However, since the onset of the pandemic, it feels like everyone and their grandmother became a day trader overnight. With the Robinhood movement to Wall Street bets, and even the Barstool founder, Dave Portnoy, launching DTG Davey Day Trader Global, where he live streamed his day trading activities during the lockdown. Given the rise of live streaming and now day trading, it totally makes sense to see companies like trading.tv emerge with strong support from the investor community. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal background and how you ended up founding trading.tv?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to you, my background is as a trader. I spent 10 years on Wall Street. I started my career off at Goldman Sachs, then went to Morgan Stanley. It was a great time to be a part of Morgan Stanley because it was sort of the golden age of their investment banking franchise, and social media was just becoming an investable asset class. So it was very lucky or fortuitous for me that I was the only young person on the desk that actually used these products. So they asked me to become the resident social media expert, and I was lucky enough to be there for all the early deal flow in Groupon, Pandora, Zynga, Facebook. Went from there to a hedge fund called Och-Ziff, where I started covering social media, picked up fintech, consumer-oriented internet and payments. And then 5 years ago, I moved over to Barclays to run the TMT pad over there. So yeah, that was sort of my journey. And then last year, I realized that there was going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build a platform at the intersection of the creator economy and the retail trading revolution, and made the decision to jump. And it was the best decision I ever made.
That's awesome. First off, I always remember getting Och-Ziff and Ziff Brothers confused, and I'm sure that still happens today. So I apologize for that.
Well, they paid someone a lot of money to change their name to Sculptor. So,
okay, good. That was after my time. I remember though on the trading desk that I had TweetDeck, which was relatively new at the time, and that was something that I was using to try to track sort of the social momentum stocks at the time when I was working on the desk. What were you using back then to try and track some of this stuff that now has become sort of ubiquitous across the social media tracking space?
Yeah, so that was actually one of the big realizations, that there was a total shift in the paradigm of financial markets for me. Because as you know, when you're sitting on a trading desk, big part of your job is just picking up the phone and answering questions that traders at hedge funds have. Basically, why is the stock moving? Why is the stock up or down, right? So the process of answering that question for the first 9 years of my career was calling other hedge funds and saying, hey, is there a note out that I missed, or is someone making a call or whatever intraday? And that used to be a pretty good way to find answers to questions. And then sometime in late 2019, early 2020, I started to realize that the best place to source answers was actually in subreddits or on Discord or, in the bowels of Twitter or whatever. And all of a sudden, it just clicked in my head that these hedge fund managers that are managing billions of dollars are actually getting the answers to their questions from, college students in their dorm rooms or armchair traders in their mom's basement or whatever. And these people were actually way more sophisticated than they were getting credit for. They were incredibly intelligent. They were, very close to the pulse of what was actually moving these things. And it's funny because as soon as you answered the questions, that they had given you, to the hedge funds, you could see the stocks move in real time. So all of a sudden, I realized that people that are actually closer to the action are the retail trading community.
That was literally my day-to-day job, answering the why stocks were moving, question. I would tell my girlfriend at the time, like, what'd you do today? I just answered the why all day long, looking through the bowels of like Stockhouse,
Yes.
the crappiest website out there. But it was interesting to see how even back then when I was on the trading desk in 2008, 9, and 10 during the crisis, there was still so much missing information from the why that nowadays there's just so much more information and it's just much easier to come by, but also harder to find. I mean, Reddit has ballooned in terms of how much information you have to kind of filter through, not to mention you adding on, stock twits, Howard Lindzon, and you've got, TikTok now and everything else in between. It makes total sense why you would want to go out and start to launch something like Trading TV. You just recently emerged from stealth, which is really exciting, with 6.1 million in seed funding led by L Catter and Growth, Activant, Navy Capital, and Tribe Capital. I have to start off by asking you, how does your team think about building a content creation platform that is planning on competing with all the other platforms I mentioned, like Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Live, for all those eyeballs and users?
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. We think about it as sort of two different verticals. So one being the existing fintech vertical, so companies like Robinhood, Coinbase, Public, and for us, really StockX as well, because we're focused on alts. So there's that side of it. And then on the other side, there's the horizontal platforms that you mentioned. So YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, et cetera. And the big differentiator is we built Trading TV as the world's first fintech platform purpose built for financial content creators. So we give them monetization opportunities that don't exist elsewhere. The thing I hear consistently from all of the creators that are joining us is, look, I have a huge audience on TikTok or I have a huge audience on YouTube, but I'm not monetizing it. And it's a real detriment to my overall business because I'm not monetizing, I don't have the opportunity to do this full time. So a lot of the creators are, working a full-time job and then making content whenever they can. So we really thought there was an opportunity to be able to build a platform that allowed these folks to be able to monetize and then pursue their passion as a full-time opportunity. That's sort of that side. The other thing is, for whatever reason, like for TikTok, in specific, they're moving away from financial content, primarily on the crypto side, because they're owned by ByteDance, which has a relationship with the Chinese government. The Chinese government doesn't like crypto. So some of these people are actually being shadow banned or outright kicked off the platforms, which is creating a tremendous void, and we're filling it. So it's more of a right place, right time thing. And the creators are actually, coming in droves, which is fantastic.
Gotcha. So the creators are asking for something that's very specific to what kind of content they're creating, which makes sense. But we seem to already have a lot of those platforms for the retail investor community to live and die in, which is like the Reddits, the Twitters, and Discord. Why do you think we need another day trading platform for people to talk shit in?
Yeah. So for me, it's about specificity. It's about bringing all of these different elements together on the same platform and really enhancing the user experience on both the creator side and then the everyday audience side. So looking at it from the creator side right now, you've got distribution platforms like, say, YouTube. So you put out your content there, you try to build an audience. Then in order to be able to build community, you have to do that in Reddit. You have to do that in Discord. So you're trying to migrate the community, migrate the audience from YouTube to now Reddit or Discord. And then to monetize, you have to get them to go to a third party. So say Patreon. So in the process of doing that, the attrition rate is in the high 90s. You're actually not capturing very many dollars relative to the eyeballs on your or ears on your content. So it's kind of a mess. And then same thing from the audience perspective. The audience doesn't want to have to move to 2, 3, 4 different platforms. And then, of course, none of those platforms have the embedded trading in it as well. So for us, we have all of not only the content, the monetization, but then the ability to actually trade the underlying securities, which, is a revolutionary product when you put all those things together.
And is this all going to be live stream content or content you can search back historically to actually get access to?
So there's 3 forms of content on Trading TV. There's the live stream component, there's the video on demand component, and then there's the immersive chat, which is similar to the Discord servers. So, and when we first started the project, we thought of it as all live stream, but then we learned a lot from sort of the Clubhouse rise and fall. And it became very obvious that a lot of the content that is on Trading TV has a longer shelf life. So if you think about, someone live streaming their trading activity for the day, shelf life associated with that is not very long. But if someone's doing a tutorial video, an educational video, that could last for years. So we just uploaded a lot of videos on financial modeling, like competitive financial modeling and things of that nature. And so, that could be around for 10 years and be as relevant 10 years from now as it is today.
It seems like a pretty big, heavy tech lift to host all of those videos and this content compared to what YouTube has to host with all the trillions of videos they have. How do you plan on sort of managing that content cost, I guess?
So that's the reason why the fintech layer is so important. One of the reasons why live streaming and video on demand platforms don't work for other platforms is that they don't have a revenue engine associated with either transactions or, in our case, fintech. So because we have that embedded fintech layer where you're actually able to trade stocks, you're actually able to trade crypto, and eventually you'll be able to trade marketplace items like sneakers or coins or whatever. We can actually fuel the cost of maintaining the content library from our fintech activities.
So are you like white labeling a market trading platform onto yours so that people can actually see and track real time trading? How are you guys going to be able to capture that?
So we have a partnership in place right now with a company called Alpaca for the broker dealer side of equities, and we're getting our broker dealer license. It's in progress right now. We have a crypto partnership in place. We haven't announced who that is, but it'll give us the ability to offer 40 different trading in 40 different coins. That'll be live in Q1 of next year. And then the marketplace business on the collectibles side is a little bit more difficult. We're trying to figure out whether we want to serve as basically the content arm for the existing players in the market, or whether we want to sort of build our own marketplace business that enables the reselling of, let's say, Yeezys or something of that nature.
Well, we can connect you with our former guest on the show, Rob Petrozo from Rally Road, if you want to partner with him on the alternative asset investment.
I love what those guys are doing. And yeah, if you can connect me, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. One of the biggest problems with a lot of these platforms, though, is separating the noise from the insightful information. How do you plan on verifying and policing the content created by users without people trying to jump or pump and dump stocks onto their viewers?
Yeah, so we have a verification process that's in place. It's pretty extensive, and it starts by really looking at all of the content and the reputation that these people have on the other platforms. So it's one of the most difficult things to do. Obviously, for us, it's about maintaining a totally clean, clear community, making sure that no one's engaging in nefarious or malicious activity, that they're actually there to add value to the people that are coming to view their content. So we start off by doing a thorough search of all the other content platforms where they're active. A lot of times we ask users, what their experience has been by following this particular creator. After they pass our verification process, we give them a badge. The badges are extremely difficult to get. So it is a privilege to have that badge on the end of your username on TTV, and it lets people know that you have clout credibility in the community. So at the glance of an eye, you can tell who the people are that you should be listening to, and if they don't have it, then you should think twice.
That's very interesting. So you're going to track other platforms that have influencers on them and then get them verified on Trading TV. And are you going to try to look back historically on their performances and their recommendations in order to judge how well they should be accepted on your platform?
It's not really their performances or their recommendations. It's more about, are you doing something that's in line with our community guidelines? Are you making sure that you're actually trying to add value? Are you an honest and truthful person? Do you care more about, the community of people that are coming to watch you than you do about trying to enrich yourself through, like you say, pump and dump schemes or things of that nature? I don't want to give away too much because I don't want people to start circumventing the system, but there are online groups now, which is effectively a wall of shame of creators who have kind of crossed the line. And so it's a very good, let's say, resource to be able to do your background checking. And, I think collectively, all of us, the US government is diving into crypto and trying to develop an opinion on crypto and things of that nature. So as a community, we owe it to every other person involved to self-police, and it's definitely I've seen a lot more people self-policing bad actors and bad behavior recently, which is a positive thing for the entire industry.
Right. So it's kind of like how Reddit has the moderators, in their group chats and upvoting and downvoting and things like that.
Exactly. So we have moderators. We kind of think about it as sort of two levels. So a content creator, when they have their platform on TTV, you have moderators that either they employ or that we assign to them. We actually pay our moderators, so it's a benefit to them to be on our platform versus the Reddit model where it's primarily driven by volunteers. And then there's TTV super admins, which are actually employees of Trading TV. On the first level of it, within a community or within a live stream or within a VOD, you can actually remove content if you're employed directly by that creator. You can police the conversation. So you can kick a person out of the community or remove a comment that they made if it violates your own personal rules within that community. And then on sort of the macro level, if there's something that goes against our own particular terms and conditions or community guidelines, the TTV super admin, obviously, they have the master keys to be able to remove anybody.
I like that. That's very interesting. And, given the massive influx of new assets that you were mentioning, like, crypto and besides the regular, meme stocks, but everything else in between, there's so many new traders coming to the market. How are you planning to incentivize content creators onto your platform versus the many other options out there we've already discussed?
Yeah, so this is something that I feel very strongly about. I mean, one of the reasons that we started Trading TV is because I'm a huge believer that people deserve to be able to pursue their passion and make a living doing it. So you mentioned we raised 6.1 million. I took $1 million from that 6.1 and started a creator fund while we're in beta. So right now there's $1 million creator fund for all the creators that are joining the beta program. We get them paid straight away. And then from the revenue standpoint, there's more revenue opportunities that exist on Trading TV than there are on any other platform. So we have a sponsorship program where we actually connect companies, corporate sponsors that are looking to advertise on our platform with our creators. So it's a white glove service that we provide. We do run 5, 10, and 30-second pre-roll ads, which carry a high CPM that we share that revenue with creators. There's an e-commerce piece of it, and then tips, donations, and subscriptions. So those are the primary revenue sources available to creators. And we think at scale, it'll make financial content creators some of the highest paid creators on any platform covering any industry.
No, that's interesting. You mentioned sort of the paid content, the promoted content. A major misconception of the financial TV world is that a lot of the time slots are paid time slots from research analysts, from the bank getting to talk about their coverage universe. So how are you thinking about that paid content spot or the promoted content? It sounds like you're going to incorporate that.
So we're not paying like any person from banks or anything like that. Like all of our content creators are UGC. So they're non-licensed investment professionals. It's freedom of speech. So, we don't want people that are coming on there that are giving unsolicited investment advice to everyday people. So no, it doesn't work that way. But if there is an audience member who finds a lot of value from a particular creator, they have the opportunity to subscribe to their channel. There's 3 tiers of subscriptions. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, $5, $10, $25. And it's very similar to the Twitch model.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like the tip jar as well you're seeing online with Twitter and things like that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So the tip, our online currency or native currency to TTV, we call them digis. Each digi is redeemable for 1 penny. So if you don't want to subscribe to someone's channel, but you do find value in that particular piece of content, you can send them a digi with the click of a button. Every time you click the button, you're tipping them 1 cent. And as soon as they have $10 in digis in their account, they can redeem them from US dollars.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. We're seeing a lot of short form content on Instagram and TikTok, which has kind of taken over the teen financial advice, segments on these apps. And there's a lot of stock trading tips coming out there. All of it probably not well thought out or due diligence, but we'll leave it there for now. Given the short attention span of most of these teens, why do you think platforms like Trading TV with its longer form content will appeal to those kinds of users?
Yes, we actually are going to offer both. We think that the live stream piece of it is the better thing for the content creators that actually want to, dive deep and to give people a more immersive experience, to explain things. Sometimes, financial concepts can be fairly complex and are difficult to be able to explain in 10, 15, or even 30 or 60-second increments. So the longer form stuff definitely has a place. And then that's more of, I would say, like the desktop creation experience. So if you think about gamers and the way that they actually create content, it's desktop based. There's a lot of different formats. So we have people that are adding video to podcasts, for example. Those play really well. But then on the mobile experience, from a content creation standpoint, you just don't have the screen real estate to be able to do, like, say you're trading on one side of it and then whatever on the other. So it's more about that short form video on mobile. So you can actually record a short form video and then upload that. We give custom filters and overlays specific to finance that we think are really cool ways to be able to enhance the virality of our platform. So we actually encourage the creators to share that content on the other platforms. So think of this as like very similar to how TikTok got famous on Instagram.
So you're going to not have your own mobile app, but you're going to allow people to upload tiny bits of content up to mobile platforms like TikTok and Instagram.
No, we have our own mobile app. We just give the creators the ability to create unique pieces of content. So we have custom finance specific filters and overlays. And so you can record the video on the TTV mobile app. You can then post it to TTV, but that resides in your phone library the same way it does if you record the video on, say, on Instagram. And then we're not telling the creators to be exclusive to Trading TV. We're saying, hey, like, we've given you a tool that you've created a unique piece of content with. It's awesome. Feel free to post that to Instagram. Feel free to post that to TikTok. And it has our watermark and things like that on it. So it's a good way for us to enhance our overall virality and drive overall users back to our platform.
No, I love it. I can't wait to see a bunch of kids pumping up the next meme stock on that platform. That's exactly what I need to see on my newsfeed. So tell me a bit about the integrations you're thinking about. You talked about trading integration platforms, social. What other type of integrations are you guys thinking about?
Yeah, so there's integrations by asset class. So we talked about the Alpaca integration for stock trading. That gets us commission-free trading in US-based stocks, ETFs, and fractional shares, which will be live in about 6 weeks, adding options to that Q1 of next year. There's going to be the crypto integration that takes place probably Q1 of next year at this point. And then there's a bunch of partnerships. So we're exploring partnerships with a myriad of different companies. It's really been interesting because there's so many new asset classes. Like there's sports betting that is now turned into stock trading type of things. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel or boil the ocean. Like we can be the content and social layer for so many of these new asset classes. So exploring those partnerships has been really fun. I think it's going to create an incredible, unique experience when you're on TTV.
That's awesome. And how are you guys getting away from any of the liability of offering that financial advice on a live stream without any edits to it?
Yeah, so it's not financial advice. That's the first thing. It's education and information. But the one of the things I think is interesting is in the current state right now, crypto, all of the alt assets, so NFTs, trading cards, rare sneakers, are not designated securities by the federal government or by the SEC or FINRA. So there's not as many regulations associated with that. It doesn't mean that we're not taking it seriously or that we don't police that activity, but there's less actual, legislation to adhere to on that side. On the stock side of it, again, it's UGC content. So we're protected by 230 the same way that the horizontal platforms are. But the guidelines are not to give individual specific investment advice. It's totally fine for a content creator to say, I'm buying Facebook, or you should check out Facebook here, but they shouldn't be singling out individual members of the audience and providing them with specific investment advice. But other than engineering, regulatory compliance and legal has been our biggest investment inception to date. And we're being proactive about it. So I'm sitting down with my lawyers and going proactively to the regulators and saying, hey, this is our business model. Like, this is the way the world is right now. And we want to inject our narrative into your decision-making process. And then they come back and they say, yes, no, or you need to change this. And, we play within the rules that they define.
That makes sense. I mean, I think going forward to the regulators and being upfront about what your plans are, and trying to explain this as an educational platform makes a ton of sense. We've seen so many other platforms do it the opposite way, and they've had their wrist slapped. And so it makes total sense why your lawyers and your advisors are explaining for you to do it that way. Besides focusing on the public stock markets, you mentioned you're going to start incorporating crypto trading and obviously all the alternative assets like NFTs. How can a platform like yours be able to cover so many asset classes while allowing viewers to easily find digestible and interesting content, like without being overwhelmed? How do you plan on doing that?
This is actually something that we've taken a lot of tips from TikTok from. So in the very beginning of your journey on TTV, we ask you which asset classes you care about. So it's a checklist. So you tell us, hey, I care about US tech stocks, I care about crypto, I care about cannabis. And that's the first sort of filtration mechanism associated with the content that we show you. The algorithm is intelligent. So if you decide to, let's say, move away from tech stocks, you don't care about that anymore, and the only thing you care about is DeFi tokens and Yeezys, then that's what we're going to show you. So it is a filtration mechanism that happens up front, and then it's powered and is dynamic by the algorithm as you use the platform more.
And are you going to have sort of the top ranking content creators outside of the industries that they've pre-selected so that people can also find it on the Discover page or something?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the coolest things about this is that when you the investing ecosystem now is as interconnected as it ever has been before. And that's only going to be exacerbated in the future. So there's this incredible cross current that happens when a user comes on to follow, let's say, a stock guy. And in the process of being on TTV and seeing the Discover page, they find a crypto guru or a personal finance expert or someone who's like diving deep into trading cards and, exploring NFTs or whatever. And so, you end up diversifying or broadening your overall knowledge base across these myriad of different asset classes. And you become involved in trading these things and discussing them in the communities that exist. So, I think it's an unbelievable experience, and really it depends on the quality of the content and the quantity of it. But yes, all of these things are the same. It doesn't matter whether you're trading Apple or whether you're trading jelly beans.
It really is all the same. I mean, I've tried to explain to like the boomer generation how deep of a rabbit hole you can get into if you just scratch the surface of crypto or, meme stocks and stuff on Reddit. And that's just one platform. I mean, when I got exposed to crypto 5-6 years ago, it was a rabbit hole back then, and it's only gotten deeper and deeper. Trying to explain that to someone of my parents' generation is really difficult. And so I'm excited to see what kind of content platforms like yours can show me that I didn't even know about, even though I'm immersed in a lot of this stuff on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's a really great way to educate people on other asset classes outside of the traditional public stock markets that people should be considering and thinking about. I really like that.
When we were walking into the buildings, like you used to work at RBC and I used to work at Barclays, it's like 7 floors of trading. And it didn't matter, whether you wanted to trade some like esoteric interest rate derivative or whether you wanted to trade, options on Tesla. Like there was a desk, right, that was there to be able to facilitate that. Now, most of that stuff doesn't have a retail application and is pretty boring. But when I think in my head about like the overall structure of it, there's all of these different asset classes, and really it's fueled by passion, right? Like that's what makes the whole thing work. Is people say, okay, I really like basketball, and I'm really not interested at all in like breaking down the balance sheet of whatever of IBM, but I would really love to find a way to be able to turn my basketball passion into an investment. And there's a way to do that now. Like you can invest in NBA Top Shot. You can buy a piece of Steph Curry's rookie card. And those things are more fun to talk about than interest rate derivatives, right? So that's like one of the reasons why I think people are gravitating towards TTV right now, is because there's cultural cachet in the asset classes that we're discussing and that we're eventually going to offer trading and transaction capability in.
Also, it just expands your investment mindset of how interconnected so many of these asset classes really are. I remember being on the equity trading desk, and I would go for walks, at lunchtime when things were quiet, to go sit on like the derivatives desk or the commodities desk or, the FX. And I would just shoot the shit with these guys and ask them what they were seeing and what they were doing. And I'd come back to the equity desk and they'd be like, hey, where were you, Matt? And I'd be like, oh, I was just chatting with the guys in the commodity desk, seeing what they're seeing in the copper markets. And they'd be like, why? I'm like, because it's all interconnected. It's all something that is moving something else. And so I love doing that in the real world, but now you can do that in the digital world. And I think that's just so powerful, especially for the younger generation to have access to that information, to understand how like money flows and asset classes are affected from one another. I think it's incredible what you're doing. And I think TTV is definitely a good platform for everyone to be able to catch up. And maybe the boomers will catch up. Maybe they won't. We'll see.
Yeah. And it also makes you smarter. You would go over to that commodity desk and you would pick up, something like you said about copper. And then you'd come back to the equity desk. And the first thing I'm sure you did was call a client that hasn't had there's 30 other sales traders that are trying to, talk to them about equities. Now, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I've got this interesting tidbit that I picked up on the commodities desk. You should think about this particular stock. And like now you have a differentiated point of view that your competitors didn't. And as you say, like with these things becoming more interconnected, understanding the correlations that exist, whether they're high or low, and the ability to be able to hedge out your portfolio using these alternative asset classes and not have to worry about, the collapse of the crypto market because you are diversified, or the collapse of the equity market because you are diversified, and you're also diversified in things that are like fun, not in like interest in some sort of default swap or whatever. So yeah, I think it's great, and it's also like fun to watch and discuss in these communities. So that's cool.
Yeah, I remember very vividly during the crisis, the financial crisis, we had, Monday morning meetings with people from like the interest rate swap group and the default swap group explaining to us how it was affecting the equity markets. Years before, we never would even hear from those people. And now you have multi-asset, cross-asset analysts talking about everything under the sun as it relates to equities in the public markets on, CNBC or something like that. So it's only getting more and more complicated, and there's going to be a lot more information going out there. So like I said, it's really interesting to see the way you're approaching the situation. One thing I wanted to ask you, though, the gaming industry has had its own issues with bullying and harassment, especially against female gamers. How do you plan on creating a platform that is open to all kinds of content creators, including women and minorities, that is free from hate speech and bullying?
Yeah. So first off, I'm a minority founder. So creating a totally inclusive and diverse platform and community is something that's core to the ethos of who I am as a human being. Spending 10 years on Wall Street as one of the only Black people on the trading floor, I know what it feels like to feel out of place. And for me, it's all about setting the precedent from the first 50 creators that we have. So diversity is the underpinning that we're looking for to be able to set the bar high right away. So diversity in terms of age, sex, race, sexual orientation. We just shot our promo commercials out in LA. And there was, we had trans people involved in it, gender non-binary, Asians, Black people, white people, everyone, because from the very first time we're in the public light, I want to be able to show visually, like, this is something that is core to who we are as a company and the platform that we're going to build. And then within the community guidelines, it's very clear. It's a zero strike policy. Any racial slurs, any unwanted sexual advancements, you don't get a warning for this. You get kicked off the platform indefinitely. And it's something that we will be heavy handed with for the entirety of our existence. It's like, I do not want this to become, a frat house. I want for people to come to our platform and feel safe, to feel like they're included in these conversations and that they can actually contribute to them, even if they are novices or if they're females. Like, it's very, very important to what we're trying to build.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to have a heavy hand approach to people who are bad actors and trying to bring negative energy to, educational platforms like TTV. So I'm really happy to hear that. With the new funding round and the recent announcement of your 1 million creator fund, what else should we expect from your team in the coming months as you open up beta to the public?
Yeah, so we have a number of different partnerships that I think are going to be extremely awesome. So you'll be hearing a series of partnership announcements, both on the enterprise side and then on the content creator side. So we've got a bunch of great creators that we're excited to tell everybody about. We're also going to be moving into original production. So we were doing UGC, and now we're also formulating a deal right now to be able to broadcast and distribute some of our own shows. So we're formulating those right now. And yeah, that's the focus. It's definitely a lot of work. There's no easy day. The only easy day was yesterday. But yeah, that's, I think, what you can expect in the near term.
Well, that's exciting. Maybe I'll bust off my old trading skills and try to be applying for a content creator job at TTV very soon.
We would love to have you. Either that, or you can continue to do this. Like, if you want to add a video element to your podcast and you want to host it on Trading TV, that would make me extremely happy.
Awesome. Okay. I'll be your first applicant for that. Before we wrap things up, we always love to ask our guests for their fast favorites, where I list off 5 topics of each category and you name your favorite for each one. So first one is favorite podcast.
Group chat pod.
Nice. Favorite newsletter or blog.
The Hustle.
Perfect. Favorite tech gadget.
iPhone.
Easy one. Favorite new trend.
NFTs.
And last but not least, favorite book.
Easy one. Harry Potter.
What?
Dude, what? Are you kidding me? I went to Slytherin. I was head boy there. It was amazing.
Okay. We haven't heard that one on the podcast, so we're definitely going to highlight that one for all our listeners. So thanks so much for joining us in the tank today, Tobias Heaslip, founder and CEO of Trading TV, talking about building the Twitch for day traders.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Tank Talks. To learn more about this episode, be sure to go to Apple Podcast or Spotify to find more detailed notes on this episode or to check out previous episodes. Also, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and a rating, as it helps us out a lot. And hit that subscribe button so you can get notified when new episodes come out. Finally, make sure to give me a follow on Twitter @MattyBCohen or @Tank Talk Podcast to stay up to date on new episodes or to be a guest on our show. Till next time,